right, all right. Oh, look, it's all happening.
Here we go.
Saved by the Bell. Yes. Oh.
Oh, we have Rita, the director. Yes. Lilas.
All right, we're here.
Yes. Okay. Hi, again.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. And Rita is the director of this wonderful film. Lilas, as you saw. And we have Grace, the editor, which in documentary, you know, is no small feat. So, and we already introduced Natasha. So, hi. Like I said, I don't get a seat, right?
I really don't know how you agreed to that. Yeah. That's a scam.
I didn't.
Thank you so much for doing this. Genuinely.
Thank you.
Let's see how it goes. I want to thank you guys for creating during these times and under these circumstances, both music and film. And I think it's growing increasingly hard to have expression all over the world, not just in our parts of the world. So thank you for making this happen. The film was so authentic and vulnerable and touching. So Rita, I wanted to ask you, Lebanon's such a specific country with such a specific history. And, you guys are such a specific band and music. But yet it was such a universal story of someone finding their way and friendship. And I'm wondering what your starting point was and when you knew you had your story.
So, as I mentioned before we started the screening, that the reason I made it was because I wanted to make a story about Arab women as a young Arab American woman. But basically, when I heard the music of Slave to Sirens, this was in 2018, when take a seat, when they had just put out their first EP, and I listened to their music on Spotify, and I was genuinely blown away by their sound. I grew up listening to like punk and hardcore, and I wasn't a metalhead, but I was really impressed, and I went and Googled them. And I saw that they were the first female metal band in the Middle East, and I just became obsessed, basically. I saw an image of them, and I remember seeing Lilas on the left side of the frame with her hands folded, and she was all pissed off. And I was like, I know this girl. I am that girl. And I said, I have to reach out to them. So I did, and Lilas was the first one to answer on Facebook, and we just started chatting, and we started talking on Skype and video chatting and talked about all the things in life. And I just remember just really identifying with her. And to share something very personal, this was in 2018 when my dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness, my dad in Morocco. And so I was really searching for a way to connect with the Arab world that was outside of my own family. I was like, I grew up in the US, so I was like, how can I connect more with people my own age, women my own age in the region? And so Lilas was she was like a beacon, the band was a beacon. And so I really connected with that, and but I wasn't really thinking of a film necessarily until I reached out, and I was like, okay, maybe there's like a film here we can do. And thought maybe it would be a short, not really sure. So when I found the story, it was really when I started visiting, and Lilas invited me in November, so it was months later. I went and stayed with her and saw what the country was going through, saw what the band was going through, saw what Lilas was going through personally, and just remember thinking like, this is a very nuanced, complex, female-driven story that I wish I had seen growing up. And that's really the origin of it.
Yeah. And I don't want to. I want to give everyone a chance, but I was blown away by the cinematography, and I know that's a lot of your background. I'm wondering how it felt to direct and shoot. I feel like everyone felt so comfortable in front of your camera, and I know that's not easy to create. If you want to talk about just having all those roles.
Yeah, I think it's not easy to create, but it's also it is easy to create. I think there is something that happens when you're like, oh, there's a camera, I should just, So I think the toughest part is later when the participants see the film and they're like, oh, I was so open on camera. I think it's almost too easy to create, to be honest. I'm just being very honest. But I think my thing is that I'm a lot about trust, and anyone who knows me personally knows that to a fault. Like, I am a very trustworthy person, and I think it probably gets me in trouble sometimes. And so I think that I demand the same of other people. I want to be as trustworthy as I expect other people to be trustworthy with me, and I think that's the best way to get real authentic stories, is when you give yourself. I gave of myself, and I expected people to give of themselves, particularly Lilas. And
I saved your life.
Yeah, she saved my life many times. Not even joking. I have tripped backwards with my camera into a ravine, and she has pulled me by the arm. She has a spidey sense, I swear to God. So yeah, it's really about trust, and that's how you get quote unquote good things on camera.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of sidewalks in Lebanon. So you do need someone behind you. Lilas, one of my favorite moments was you teaching music, and it was like a reminder that I'm like, this is a professional musician. Like, I think metal, has its own reputation, and I'm wondering what your musical background is, like what your training was, and what sort of made you want to pick this crazy life.
Great question. Actually, I discovered metal by complete accident. My dad brought at home a hi-fi sound system, and there was a CD player in it from the shop, a test CD. And I was around 12 or 13 back then, or maybe younger. And I played the CD, and it had Tina Turner on it, Beyonce, Enrique Iglesias, I think. And then I hear distortion. I'm like, what the fuck? I love this. And I discovered later on the name of the band was Evanescence. Yeah, Evanescence started it all, and I had a huge crush on Amy Lee. I still do. Yeah, and I watched Evanescence for the first time on a TV. MTV back in the days was a thing. They used to play metal.
They played music.
Yeah, music and some metal. Yeah, and I saw the band. I'm like, whoa, I love this, and I felt really connected with the music, and I was determined to learn the guitar. I loved the sound of the distortion back then, and I bought my first cheap guitar ever. It was like a Fender Squier totally used. Was less than $50 with an amplifier, and yeah, I started learning on my own. I didn't have internet back then, not even YouTube or anything at home. So I would literally text my friend, hey, can you take a screenshot of your fingers on a guitar? Because he used to be a guitar player, and he used to send screenshots of just chords. I'm like, how the fuck does he do that? I have no idea. So yeah, I'm self-taught, and I'm still learning.
So it was metal before music that did it. Interesting. As a teenager from Ohio, the first time I heard metal was visiting Lebanon in high school, and I don't know if I was just hanging out with the wrong people or if... So, but that's my other question is, do you feel like there's a connection between, and this can totally be your opinion, it doesn't have to be factual, do you think there's a connection between metal and Lebanon?
That's an amazing question. Actually, yeah, I feel personally metal helped me a lot through my journey being Lebanese young woman in Lebanon, growing up with all the conflicts and difficulties I had in my personal life. So it gave me a space where I can relate with the music, and it spoke to me. And at this point, it gave me a kind of a space in this life, and it gave me a voice playing guitar. And yeah, and I hope after all this, like the film and the band and the goal behind everything is just really to inspire specifically other Middle Eastern women, because I know Arab women go through a lot, and I have a responsibility in my music and through metal to represent what we're going through, to represent the truth, and to have metal as a space where we can heal because of what our country is going through. And I know a lot of other countries and a lot of people relate to metal because what they're going through in life. So yeah, I'm hoping that I carry on this responsibility in the right way.
Who's inspired by her? And
Thank you.
I want to come back to that too. But Natasha, I wanted to ask you. I scrolled down your IMDb today just to kind of refresh, and not that I needed it, but it was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to take down Harry Dean Stanton.
I'm like,
that's my long-term goal.
But you've been working consistently, and I'm wondering, now coming into the role of an EP, what you're taking with you from in front of the camera, and what experience from this project you'll take with you.
Well, I mean, everything you just said is, basically all I want to see happen, in this world or in the arts. Or so I guess, it's just very lucky to have that opportunity, and that Rita's such an incredible filmmaker. I mean, this is exactly the kind of, and just watching it with all of you guys, I have like a lot of my, very real friends here who I've like known for 20 years. And it's just funny to like watch it through all of our eyes of, like this is exactly who we've been, for decades. And just to expand the world in that way and really, say like we're all just trying to survive out here and, do our best and, reconcile just this world at large that seems so, illogical so often. Yeah, fucked up. And so I think it's really exciting to discover a way in that's so, I guess great when you were like, that's a, the guy's like, well, it's too bad, there's only like 1% of white people in the Middle East who are going to love this kind of music, and that's unfortunate that you chose this. And it's like, great, but you know what? It's fun to address that. Like that voice is just as valid as any other. And if there's more access, then maybe that's like 10%.
Yeah, I would argue that fact. Do we have fact checkers on that one?
It's nice to be the 1%, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's ironic that it's such a, inverse of that concept, I guess the way that it's getting thrown around these days. But yeah, so it's a real honor to I felt really proud and moved watching it here with all you guys, that we were even a small part of this thing.
Thank you. Grace, the editor, and those of us in film know the weight on a doc editor's shoulders. You can be as diplomatic as you want, but I'm wondering, is there something in the film, what broke your heart to cut out? Was there a scene or a moment that you really connected to but just didn't work for the final? Again,
I tried Evanescence's story many times in many iterations. There's one really sweet scene that I would put in, and Rita would be like, why? where Lilas was playing with a cat for a long time. And I was like really indulgent about it too. Like I didn't cut. Like I was like, this is a long take. But Rita's a really, really disciplined cinematographer. Like I've edited docs where the camera is just always rolling. And I think that part of the reason that Rita has such intimacy with Lilas and Shery and the rest of the band is because you really spent time getting to know them off camera too. And so when she was shooting, it was, one, always beautiful. So there's a lot of just beautiful footage that couldn't make it into the film, and really intentional. So even though there's stuff that's really heartbreaking that's not in the movie, Rita had a really beautiful, clear vision before she even started that made it really intuitive to like guide us through the footage as to what would be in.
That's really nice.
Stop.
I was looking to dig up some dirt and I didn't get it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I really didn't
Wouldn't
want
let the
to.
cat scene in. So
I did see a cat in there when I think Shery was playing, and I was quite happy about it. I wanted, Lilas, to ask you, you've played inside and outside of Lebanon, and I'm wondering if it feels any different.
Actually, it feels like, it feels different. Like back in our home country, we're grateful to have the support from the local metalheads, and that's amazing. And some of the people around us who knows us, and friends and family. But once we got outside of Lebanon and we experienced all these like experiences there, like the people, the support, the amount of love. Like I remember, like the most memorable moment was in Morocco, Casablanca, and the amount of love there for us was unbelievable. I didn't believe it. Like, are we really that famous there? Like, I didn't know that. Yeah, and when I got to play in Germany, we played in Germany with my band, and yeah, we were on stage there, and there was thousands of people. Maybe that was one of the biggest crowds we ever played in front, and it felt like home. Oh, like that's how I feel on stage. I always feel like I'm home. Doesn't matter where exactly, but of course it's different when you're playing it in front of thousands and it's in a different country. Because in Lebanon, the metal scene is really small. It was like 100 and then a room. That's it. 500 if it's a huge international band coming to play. But yeah, it's a pretty small scene, and to play in front of thousands and to have this amount of support and love is really life-changing. Yeah.
I like that. You're always at home on the stage. I think we can open it up. I don't know. I'm not keeping track of time, but if we have any questions, or if anyone else on the panel wants to say anything else.
Well, just that those scenes from Morocco and Germany are in the credits. So that those big crowds, yeah, that's what those are from.
Does anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can I use yours? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
First of all, I just want to say this is truly just an incredible experience of seeing an all-woman produced film. And I just want to say I'm, trying to make it in the entertainment industry. I go to NYU as well, trying to, get by. Who knows where I'll end up, whatever, it doesn't matter. My question is, how do you stay motivated in the entertainment industry, which is still really dominated by white men?
That's a question for me.
It's a question for everyone because.
Welcome to showbiz. It's like this all the time. What's it like being a girl and doing stuff? It's tricky out there, but there's safety in numbers. I decided to field it. The good news is we're here for you on the other side when you graduate the program. and we're growing all the time. And, I feel like we're making a healthy amount of stuff. I have this fantasy that in, I don't know, maybe just a few years, we'll just be like people making things, including bring you with us. And that's going to be, really exciting. But it is also, there is also just like then we'll be able to like go back to the other version where we talk about like the power, the impact of like, holy shit, that really, you are also, the DP on this movie. And the fact that you guys are all women is huge. Like there's something so, potent about watching that. I'm like remembering for me, like remembering my young self and how it felt. And then seeing those images up against, the juxtaposition of some of these scenes is just insane, So then, we also get all that power of witchcraft. Anything else?
Well, so our producer's not up here, but she should have been. Camilla, she's literally upstairs just like taking care of shit, which is what producers do, and we love her for it. Are you here? Hi, babe. So Camilla taught me early on that don't wait. Don't wait for anyone to give you money. Don't wait to give you permission. Just go do the thing that you want to do and trust your vision, and it will be amazing because you have taste. Number one, most important thing in the world is taste, and talent, and the drive, and the ability. You don't need to second guess it. So as a woman, don't wait for anyone.
Yeah, and I believe that also women supporting other women is very important for us to keep moving forward. And one woman can inspire one, and it just like it doubles. And that's where I personally like draw my inspiration and what keeps me moving. I started this band and I started in music because I was inspired by other women. And with time, you learn a lot and you recognize the importance of sisterhood. And this is what keeps us women moving forward. So we're not here against men. We should be here helping each other to move forward and make this place a better place. So that's it.
Hi guys. Rita, congrats. Lilas, Mabruk, all of you guys.
Shukran.
This is insanely beautiful. What a lovely watch, honestly. Very empowering film. I have two questions. Lilas, very quick one. Has your mom seen it?
That's a great question. Things with the mother-daughter, the whole mother-daughter relationship is always delicate and it's always complicated. And just like every other relationship, we have our ups and downs. And it's an ongoing process, so... yeah.
Yeah, good enough. Thank you. Rita, I remember we met like a few years ago, but it was before the revolution, so I'm very curious. I could have waited to ask you this, but I want to know, how did you decide to interweave the story of the revolution and what's happening locally with what's happening with the band and the amazing members?
Yeah, it was we could have never known that the revolution was going to happen. I started shooting in 2018. The revolution started a year later in 2019. Yeah, like literally 1 year later. So, a lot of it was about finding context for what the band was singing about, what the band had, we felt it was a great sort of, the band has been through a lot, just even generationally, with their parents having been through the Civil War and everything that's happened in Lebanon. And so the revolution, when it started out as hope, there was one idea, but then it sort of descended into violence and chaos, which it usually does, unfortunately. And our feelings about it changed as I was shooting. Every time I went back and spent time, it was like it was of a different feeling. So I don't think you really know how you're going to deal with it until you get into the edit. And that's kind of where Grace and I really had a lot of conversations about how to deal with the political context. Even like, for example, the explosion. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but it was a big discussion about how to deal with these big political issues. Number one, because we didn't want to exploit them for dramatic purposes, right? But also we felt like we had to earn it through the protagonists, through the participants and their personal journeys. And so that's not easy because it's not like they're personally, all the time in the revolution necessarily, but it's affecting them. And so we really had to do a dance in the edit about how to deal with it. And I think we, earned the things that we did, and we left out the things that we couldn't earn. There's a lot on the cutting room floor that we just felt was, dramatizing things that we didn't earn. Like, do you want to talk? Like, a lot of people have asked me in other Q&As that Grace hasn't been involved in about marrying the music, Slave to Sirens music, with the explosion and how that really worked really well. And gives me chills when Lilas talks about the meaning of the song, actually, that's paired with the shot of the explosion, which we didn't really even know what the meaning of the song was when she paired it with.
My tactic was mostly I avoided it entirely. I avoided the explosion. I avoided all the protests because I grew up Lebanese American. My dad's from Lebanon. And similar to Rita, like I wanted to see a movie and make a movie that had nothing to do with politics. And the revolution really came in after you'd already started filming. And then when the explosion happened, it was like, Grace, like, you have to edit this
Can't avoid it.
Like, literally, Rita was like, by next week, you need to edit this explosion. And so I really, really was avoiding it, but it was inevitable that it was part of their lives as much as I wanted to pretend like it wasn't, because I feel really protective over Lebanon and how I feel about Lebanon and my own experiences in Lebanon. And I didn't want how beautiful I find the country to be overshadowed by the politics of the region. And but the scene, I think the guiding light in all of it was the scene with Shery and Lilas gossiping about Lilas' night before. And it was like, that was the target, and you needed, the only context you needed was to understand how amazing that scene was. Yeah. And like, if you could just get that scene, that was the North Star of the politics in my mind, because it's seeping in the edges of your life, whether you want it to or not. And I think that scene encapsulates it perfectly.
What do you think? What do you say, Angelika?
We have one more
more
question.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this with us. This is amazing. My question is, as a metalhead, it's refreshing to see metal portrayed in a positive light. I understand it's a...
We didn't plan
Thank
him,
you.
we swear.
I understand that metal is a niche genre, so it's nice to see it reflected in a positive light. So my question for all of you, if metal's your thing, what are some of your favorite metal bands?
It should just be all you.
This is a hard question. This is really tough. Like, I can count till tomorrow, and the list goes on. But like, my favorite would be Testament, Thrash, Megadeth. I'm listening to new emerging bands right now, like Polyphia, not like entirely new, but the new modern metal sound. Polyphia, Pliny. So Symphony X. So I like the challenging technical guitars. So yeah, these are like my favorite right now. Yeah. Slayer helped me a lot with my anger issues. I would put Slayer and like, God hates us all. Like, yes, that's it. Preach. Yep. Yeah. So yeah. Thanks.
Anyone else have metal band?
Well, I'm still a fan of Black Sabbath. Like, I like Ozzy
nice.
Osbourne. You
Old
know?
school, yeah.
Yeah, old
Classic.
school stuff.
Rita, was it the metal that drew you in, or the sound, or like, are you a metal fan?
My hair.
It was her hair. No, I'm not even joking. No, thrash metal has its roots in punk. You know, there's a lot of punk influence, and I grew up listening to like hardcore punk, and so I think that was my draw to their particular metal. I'm not an all metalhead person, you know. I can appreciate it now after learning about it. I think anyone can because it's very technical. Yeah, it's a highly skilled musical style, but back in the day it was like, yeah, I can get down with the thrash.
All right. Natasha, any metal?
Nobody needs this. What I learned is I'm just going to start all my sentences moving forward is, as a metalhead, and that's really the takeaway. What do we think? One more? I'm not sure. Is there another screening? I think I have OCD problems, but is there another screening, or there's no?
Okay, I have extreme stage fright, but Lilas, as a queer person, like, what keeps you going, like, in a country that doesn't necessarily support you? Because I'm queer and like I have a hard time like being inspired by things. So this was super inspiring. So thank you.
Appreciate
and
that.
just curious about that.
What keeps me going, other than my dog, who's my emotional support, and the love I'm surrounded with, honestly, like the amount of support and the good-hearted people around me, the right good-hearted people, and the music, and the sense of community. Not until like recently I started kind of feeling that there's a community in our country fighting to exist. And like ever since the film was shot, there had been a lot of major like setbacks to the LGBT community, and it no longer feels safe or comfortable really to discuss like personal details. But speaking about the community in my country, everyone's trying to make it. Everyone's trying to, you know, no matter what happens, we always keep moving forward because we have a sense of hope. And again, as I was saying, sisterhood, and not just that, just the sense of community, it helps. It helps. And just having the right people around you, it keeps you moving forward. So, yeah. And I'm pretty grateful for that. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing us together with this film in creativity, with your music, and for all of you for being here. And thank you, everyone. I think there's another screening, so.
Tell your friends.
Thank you. Yeah, it's playing.
And I do like Motorhead.
As a metalhead, tell your friends.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.